In Austin, Texas, crowd coming around here, 9 hours to kick off between the earliest 1 versus 2 in college football ever in the first in the regular season in 10 years. We began about an hour ago. This is about halftime. Any halftime adjustments we need to work on here?
No.
We're doing good so far?
I got to go to the bathroom pretty soon.
Well, you've already had one pit stop. All right, well, we got plenty of time in the second half for that. In his first game, Colt McCoy, very impressive. All eyes on the replacement for Vince Young, and he did the job against North Texas in kind of a low-pressure debut. As these fans know, there is no bigger void to fill in college football than the leadership and the playmaking vacuum left by Vince Young. Remember him? He left a year early, and Colt McCoy had to step from redshirt into starter very quickly. Now, is he going to fit the job of Texas Triggerman as well as his name does? We'll begin to find out real soon if he is the real McCoy. He's a gym rat. He's a coach's son from a small little West Texas town of Tuscola that only has one stoplight. And Lee points out it's a blinking one. As Steve Cyphers tells us, though, McCoy showed heroism this summer, far more meaningful than anything he could possibly do on the football field.
This past Memorial Day at Timber Ridge Lake in Graham, Texas, Colt McCoy and his father Brad had just returned home from a day of fishing. As night fell, screams from across the lake sent them racing to the shoreline.
I heard, help, help. You know, all I could hear was help. I didn't know what to do because I couldn't go around the lake. The only thing I could do was to go.
There was no hesitation from Colt or either one of us to go in the water, even though it was kind of unknown. We'd never swam in it, and it was dark.
They dove in as Patina Harrington continued to cry out for someone to help her husband Ken.
Help! This is Patina. I'm down at the lake. Ken's having grand mal seizures. Call 911.
Another neighbor made the call.
Ken County 911. And we need an ambulance at the Harrington's house on the far side of Timber Ridge.
My adrenaline was flowing so much that I was just trying to get over there as fast as possible, and all I could hear was her voice.
She was just in total fear for their lives. And, oh, God, help me. My husband's dying. Please, someone help me.
Still screaming into the pitch black, moonless night, Patina Harrington knelt over her 60-year-old husband who'd had a history of seizures.
What were your worst fears at the time?
That nobody was going to hear me and that Ken was going to die.
It took nearly 4 minutes for Colt and his father to swim across the lake.
She was having a struggle keeping her husband on the dock. He was having a full seizure and bleeding out of his mouth.
And Dad said, hey, you need to run up the hill. He said, you got to get the ambulance down here when they get here. And it's a real rocky cliff where I had to go up. I couldn't see anything. I knew that there was a trail somehow, and there's a lot of big rocks and everything. And I had a little flashlight, but halfway up the hill it went out.
Colt made it to the road almost 60 yards from the dock just as help arrived.
We were met by a young gentleman. At the time I didn't know who it was, and we followed him down to the dock through the backyard. If he hadn't been taking us down there, we'd probably never found him.
I finally got him down there on the dock, and I was holding the IV for him. They kept sticking him, giving him shots, and trying to bring him back, trying to let him stop seizing.
The paramedics estimated Ken had 10, maybe 15 minutes to live. When he was stable enough to move, a team of 8, including the McCoys, carried Ken up the trail, through the rocks, to the ambulance. 3 months later, Ken is doing better. So much so that he and Patina plan to attend a few Longhorn games this fall. And Colt, who returned to Austin the day after he did what he says anyone would have done, is the starting Texas quarterback to whom Ken will be forever grateful.
I was bad, but they gave my life. And thank you.
I had never been put in a situation like that, but I knew when I got down there that I said, you know, something's going to have to happen. We're going to have to go over there somehow and help this guy, and I'm glad that my dad and I were able to do that for me.
What a story. And yes, he can play quarterback. Meanwhile, Doctors recently cleared Ken to make the 4-hour trip from Graham here to Austin.